Of course, in extremely difficult conditions, but nevertheless, the direction and vector is clear to everyone. We are moving towards the European Union as a full-fledged future member of the European Union. I hope that our will, our knowledge, and the political will of the parliamentarians will give us the opportunity to somehow get out of this impasse that we have come to in the last 2-3 years. We are involved. We have already been involved once as representatives of this platform to provide advice, opinions, our opinion on the issues. Hello and welcome to Ukraine in Flames, a special project by Ukraine Media Center, an NGO Euro-Atlantic course, and I'm your host, Myroslava Yaremkiv. The environmental community proposes to plan Ukraine's post-war reconstruction on the basis of energy independence and climate security, and to intensify the harmonization of national legislation with European legislation. Civil society organizations believe that the goal of the reconstruction of Ukraine should be not a return to the pre-war state, but a full-fledged development and integration into the European community on the basis of sustainable development and taking into account the European Green Course, which is also a requirement of the Copenhagen criteria for joining the EU. In today's episode, we're going to talk about why Ukraine won't be allowed into the EU without an environmental component in its recovery strategy. It is clear that it is difficult to think about the implementation of the Green Course if about 20% of your territory is still occupied and every day there is a struggle for survival. However, Ukraine took the first positive steps last year in adopting European norms. Among them, the ban of the use of asbestos and the reform of waste management. Their example shows that green reforms are spreading through and through. They contribute to economic development and national security. People's Deputy of Ukraine and member of the Committee of the Verkhovna Rada of Ukraine on Environmental Policy and Nature Management, Yulia Ovchynnykova, will talk about what place environmental policy occupies within the walls of the Verkhovna Rada. I will say it as honestly and frankly as possible. Today, during the debate at the end of my speech, I stressed that we have to root out the weeds of corruption in order for democracy and the protection of human rights to really flourish. This also applies to the right to a clean and safe environment. This is what you and I are talking about, we are protecting. And this is absolutely integrated into our process of European integration, where we have to align our legislation with the norms and rules of the European Union, to integrate and implement all relevant documents. This also concerns the value platform and base of the European Green Deal, the European Green Course, where we are headed together. But in the Parliament, as I said yesterday and will repeat, the issues of environmental protection are sensitive. Despite the fact that during the 9th convocation, the first thematic meeting was dedicated to environmental protection. By the way, 2 draft laws were not supported at that time. These are the well-known draft laws on industrial pollution, which have been rejected already 4 times. They undergo such an extremely complicated path and on the territories of the Emerald Network. The most controversial issues are related to environmental protection. It is really important for us, the committee that I represent, to communicate and cooperate in our work. Because the majority of legislative initiatives proceed in absolute cooperation with the public. At one time, my colleagues from the parliament told me the following phrase: "You know, if there are representatives of the environmental direction in each fraction, it will be much easier to advocate the issue of ecology. Now the situation is different." But you know, now the situation is different. It is changing rapidly. If we had been told 5 years ago that we would start a negotiation process with the European Union, we might also have said that it was impossible. Everything is possible. We have the opportunity to make quick decisions now. Of course, in extremely difficult conditions, but nevertheless, the direction and vector is clear to everyone. We are moving towards the European Union as a full-fledged future member of the European Union. For example, representatives of Finland and other countries ask, what prevents you from adopting them? Having analyzed the issue, we concluded that perhaps this is due to the fact that environmental education and the understanding of the importance of environmental changes by all segments of the population is also vital. This is like a horizontal reform on the formation of environmental awareness, which we have to carry out. And this will provide us with the opportunity for a deeper understanding of the importance of adopting environmental standards. But nevertheless, this is what we have to do. I sincerely hope that at the beginning of negotiations, the specific requirements of the European Union will give us the opportunity to quickly adopt the norms. If you do not adopt them according to the European Union directives, it will not count. And this is kind of a test for statesmanship and understanding of the importance of adopting these norms. Anyone who does not pass it probably does not have common values with European ones. But I sincerely hope that this process will be an incentive, a motivator for us to adopt these reforms sooner. But it moves very quickly. There are specific examples. We see up to draft law 60004D how these processes take place. But I sincerely hope that after all we will be able to start moving, greening all processes. As an option, as we have already said, my proposal remains to create a permanent platform on the basis of our specialized subcommittee, which, among other things, will be engaged in the European integration issues, so that we can discuss the issues related to the draft law on the European integration environmental component together, constantly, on a permanent basis, and have the opportunity to integrate quick and qualitative changes into our legislation. Colleagues, I once again congratulate you on the start of negotiations. There are a lot of such pleasant events, including the decision of the ESTHR that we get. We hope that today the pace will adopt 3 resolutions of great importance for Ukraine. A network for the protection of Ukrainian children will be created tomorrow. Today, the Ombudsman for the protection of human rights is in the pace. God grant that we have as much positive news as possible, and we all celebrate our long-awaited victory. The need to speed up the implementation of European environmental legislation is caused by the need to comply with international obligations, as well as changes in the status of Ukraine as a candidate country for joining the EU. Ukraine must join the European Green Course not only legally, but also in fact proving by its actions its readiness for full membership in the EU. Executive Director of the international charity organization Ecology Law Human, Olena Kravchenko, will talk more about steps made in this direction. How is it possible to speak of any rosy prospects when the situation has deteriorated? What should we do? What is the result? I believe that this dialogue platform is not a panacea, but an attempt to convey, to once again try to start a non-conflictual professional dialogue between representatives of the authorities and analytical centers, representatives of civil society and the environmental movement for the maximum acceleration of reforms in the field of natural environment protection. This dialogue platform should become a platform where high-level discussions will take place, where analytical documents will be born or discussed and improved, where decisions will be discussed and improved, and these decisions will be jointly developed and further adopted by parliamentarians. This platform in the parliamentary presidential republic should become the reporting platform of the executive branch of power, about which we know almost nothing, and which is closed on some planet of its own, signs dozens and hundreds of memoranda, and holds wonderful meetings. Every day we read wonderful news about this or that holiday in the field of environmental protection. But behind this bubble, we cannot see the essence of these reforms. I hope that our will,
Our knowledge and the political will of the parliamentarians will give us the opportunity to somehow get out of this impasse that we have come to in the last 2-3 years.
Ukraine should take advantage of the opportunity to rebuild its energy sector to a new technological level with the help of international financing and state-level business stimulation. Experts emphasize that due to the abandonment of Russian fossil fuels, the goals of decarbonization worldwide has become even more urgent, as now they concern not only environmental and climate issues, but also energy security. Malkova, coordinator of the working group Energy, Transport, Environment and Climate Change of the Ukraine-EU Civil Society Platform, will elaborate on how Ukraine is now integrated in EU policy discussions around environmental protection.
All countries on the way to the European Union were accepted as members of the European Economic and Social Committee. This is the first such experiment. This has never happened before. This initiative appeared at the end of last year. And actually, this way of working in EASC without yet being a full member of the European Union, no one has done this before, and no one knows how it should work. Therefore, for now, we're watching how the meetings take place. EESC gives recommendations from its meetings, forwards recommendations to the European Commission and to the General Directorate. And only after that the European Commission adopts and proposes its decisions for further promotion. That is, it is a long chain. So far, we are just watching this chain. We are involved. We have already been involved once as representatives of this platform to provide advice, opinions, our opinion on the issues. And the last meeting of our platform on June 14th, we discussed this issue, whether this experiment was successful or not, and how to continue this activity. That is, we do not have any results yet. This is a pilot project that we intend to continue, discuss, and improve.
You've been watching a special project by Ukraine Media Center and Euro-Atlantic course dedicated to the Russian-Ukrainian war, Ukraine in Flames. In the description under this video, you can find information on how you can help Ukraine fight Russian aggression. If you find our work useful, please like and share this video. Slava Ukraini!